Uh, Thank you. Uh, for in 3 different kind of sessions, pre-K kids who frequently bring their parents, and grades 1 to 3, and grades 4 to 6. And then we do that on one day, and then later on a second day, we did it at the Sawyer Free Library. This year, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it. We're looking for a second venue. I think I'm not really up on where that's going to be on the second day, but I think we're going to do it at one of the local churches, and we're also going to do it again next year. And that's really what we're asking for your support for this year. And next year, for next year, I'm going to be doing a grant at the end of this month to the Bruce J. Anderson Foundation to do another transcription and set the music of another Virginia Lee Burton book, which happens to be my favorite, Mike Mulligan and his Steam Shovel.
Oh, yeah.
And so we can use that in our children's outreach repertoire going forward. And then we'll have, we seem to be specializing in that. And I think that's kind of unique to this place. And BJA, Bruce J. Anderson, only does funding for Cape Ann, and it also does the Pioneer Valley. So I think we're uniquely positioned to get a word out of them to support Rob Bradshaw's work in developing the score for that particular work. So the Sewing Circle has been very generous to the symphony in the past, and we would ask for your support again in that regard. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Tom. Great. Anybody have a question? I have kind of a question. Have you, I'm sure you've attended some of these school presentations with the symphony, and I was just wondering what the response is from the students themselves.
Well, we always ask at the big concerts, we always ask for the teachers to, as a classroom exercise, to get the children to write notes back, and we get the letters back. And some of them are really heartwarming. They're just, I never knew about this. This is great. I want to be a musician when I grow up. If we get one tuba player out of this, maybe down the line, we'll count ourselves lucky. I mean, it's really, given the way that the arts are going in the public schools, who are really stressed for arts education within their curriculum, if we can just put a little glimmer in some child's eyes, and a spark that remains with them for into adulthood, we've really accomplished our mission, and that's what we're trying to do.
Wonderful.
Sue, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Tom, I would be curious to know, what's the annual budget for this program?
The regular youth outreach initiative that includes the musicians and the hall rental, and the programs, the printing, the fees for the maestro and the business manager, etc. For the smaller programs, it's more on the order of about $7,500.
For how many?
I'm sorry?
How many programs is $6,500 or $7,500?
Oh, well, the April vacation concerts. Okay, that's like 3 performances, and a second day performance. That's all included in that $6,500 to $7,500. Okay, the youth outreach initiative is approximately $15,000.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the demonstrations, school demonstrations when we're permitted to have them, and then the big concert, which typically is at the Manchester Essex auditorium.
Okay, thank you.
Any
I have
other
a
Sure.
question. Yeah, I had a question. It's Peg. I was wondering, Tom, does your outreach funding also include the composer himself? Are you
But-
looking for money for the composer?
Rob Bradshaw, the Katie and the Big Snow, that was a commission work by the Symphony. So we've already paid for that. Sometimes we have Rob come back and help with the narration, for which he gets paid a modest narration fee. But normally our publicist Heidi Dolan, who's also you may know Heidi's work with stagecraft and stage work with children's theater. She generally comes back and does that for us.
And did you say
Right.
there is public performance of this at Manchester Essex Auditorium? Just an,
Is it open to the public?
yeah,
Not generally, given that not generally given that if it's on a school day, but if we can probably get you in there, if we can make some prior arrangements. It is a school, and visitors are kind of limited. Of course, members of the Symphony board are there acting as ushers and helping the teachers get the kids seated and quieted down because they're quite excited generally. So yeah, but we can make arrangements to do that if you're interested next year. We can always use more help. Let me put it that way.
good, thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Very helpful and very interesting. And if there are questions later on, I can always get them to Tom if anybody thinks of something later. Thanks so much.
We'd be happy to answer those questions, and please consider coming to one of our regular concerts on St. Patrick's Day, and also on Mother's Day. I think we have a special regular concert planned for Sunday 2 p.m. on Mother's Day and Sunday 2 p.m. on St. Patrick's Day, both at Manchester
Great.
Essex.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Tom, for coming.
Kristin, are you there?
I'm here.
Hi, Kristin. We've talked on the phone. It's nice to see your face and meet you sort of in person. Thank
I know
you
it's
for
nice
coming.
to see everybody as well.
We had a minute prior to where we are now, and I did tell our group a bit about your organization, and I read the whole idea that it's connecting the generosity of the community to neighbors in need, which I liked the idea of that very, very much. And so I know you're one of the founding members, and perhaps you could just give us a little background about how Together Gloucester was formed, and then go on.
Sure. I'm looking at your website earlier and noticed that we started in much the same way. It indicates that people brought bags of groceries on doorsteps of families in need, and hats and mittens were knit. We started the very same way in the beginning of the pandemic. And, I had a makeshift food pantry in my house. People needed food. We learned as we began helping more people and supporting more organizations that the needs of the community extended well beyond the pandemic. And there were needs that generally people weren't aware of, but also there were many people that wanted to help in big and small ways, but they just didn't know how. So we were able, through our connections in the community, to form quite a network with ourselves and a number of our nonprofit organizations, the Open Door, Wellspring, the Grace Center, and Pathways. Our local schools, we're connected with all the school resource officers, so if a need comes up, they reach out to us. And a lot of times we've learned that there are people within the organizations that the nonprofits serve that need something that the nonprofits can't provide, just because of their mission, or they don't have the funding sources for it. So they'll generally reach out to us to help. And we like to consider ourselves a resourceful community resource. We don't spend money if we don't have to. And sometimes, we'll reach out through our friends, our Buy Nothing groups. I'll give you an example. Somebody from Wellspring reached out and wanted to see if we could purchase a particular stroller for a mom staying in the shelter. She walked everywhere and didn't have a way to transport her baby around. They asked us for a certain one. We reached out to the community, and within 30 minutes, we didn't have to buy it because someone had the exact one. But then again, they'll reach out to for something like a crib for a mom moving into an apartment, a crib mattress. We're not going to get one of those used. So we're going to buy it, deliver it, and make sure they have it without waiting. So those are the types of things, and the generosity of the community allows us to be very responsive. We generally don't like to let a request wait if we don't have to. We'll get into action. Some of our other initiatives this past year were born because of donations that came to us. We had a friend that worked for a sneaker company, Puma, and she said, "Can you accept a donation of sneakers?" And here I am. I say, "Sure, why not?" She said, "Well, there's 355 pairs of sneakers." So we said, "Holy mackerel." And the UPS guy came to my house on Washington Street, and the boxes just kept coming. The whole truck was full for us. And he came back again the next day. So that donation spurred into a Get the School Year Off on the Right Foot campaign. And we were able to, most of the sneakers weren't for smaller children. So we collected funds from the community and purchased new school shoes for the kids in the community who needed it. So we're reactive, I guess. We don't say, "Oh, this is what we want to do." Something will come to us and we'll burst an idea and make it happen. Also this year, we were able to give over 200 new and used jackets to people in the community at a free event. It was called Operation Keep Gloucester Warm. And it was so successful, we want it to be an annual event. So we're already collecting jackets for next year. And yesterday, a school nurse from O'Malley School called and said, "We have a student, he doesn't have a jacket. It's going to snow tomorrow. Do you have anything?" Brand new jacket with tags on it was delivered to the student. So those are just some of the things. I could tell you stories upon stories of single moms, chains of circumstance, no income. Social worker or case manager will reach out. Can you help with a gas gift card so they can drive to see family for Thanksgiving? They don't have any, they're not going to have a meal here. So we're able to make those things possible and to make people feel supported and give them hope. So if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Kristin.
Sounds wonderful.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful.
Wonderful.
Is it
I
an
have-
all volunteer operation, Kristin?
We are a volunteer operation. We have 5 board members. One is a municipal police officer, one's a social worker with the elderly, one is a occupational therapist, one's a retail, works in banking, and I work in a law firm, also actively involved in a number of other nonprofits in the community as well.
Wonderful.
Mm.
Wow.
So Kristin, can you walk us through how this would work? Like, when you get a request for, say, a gas card? Do you just
Sure.
provide that, or do you call somebody and say, hey, do you want to donate a gas card from your network?
Well, we would use our funds to purchase that because it's usually they need it in a couple of days. And we do have some small grants that we receive that we're able to just use funding for that. We would put an ask out to the community for a bigger request. The coats, the sneakers, the things like that, when it's more than funding for one person. I guess that's how I would answer that, you know.
Mhm.
And some people, what I find is certain initiatives speak to different people. And we received a note after we put a request out to the community for donations for the Put Your Best Foot Forward. And a man sent us an amazing donation and a note that said he remembers how he felt when he didn't have what he needed, you know, as far as clothing and shoes and jackets when he was young, and he didn't want another kid to feel that way. So, you know, we do help, you know, from infants to elders, and there's all the different initiatives. I think the things that people are aware of, they'll donate to those things. We did a big drive this winter seeking community donations, and it was called Hope for the Holidays. And we were able to give grocery gift cards to elders in the community through their monthly caregiver visit through senior care. So we did put out a donation request for something like that, but the smaller ones generally no.
And I have a question. Can
Yeah.
you put like our organization on your list for getting information out to us if you're in need, or do you put that information to the community in the newspaper, or how do you get word out to any of your
We generally use
contributors
social
or, you
media,
know, asking for help?
but we could certainly send emails out if you felt that would be something you would want to share. Our big initiatives are generally shared on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, good to know. We have a sewing circle email, so it could
Okay.
go just straight to that rather than to any individual person.
Right.
And then our finance person could, you know, get the word out to the rest of us.
Sure. Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Great.
Is your social media under Together Gloucester?
It is.
Any other questions for Kristin? Thank you, Kristin. This has been
Thank you very much.
informative, and I think it's something that we try to do on a small scale here in Annisquam in many ways, and you've taken it to a larger community, and I'm glad we're going to know more about it when you need things.
Thank you very much. I'll be sure to reach out with our next initiative. We took a little pause after the holidays. I had a knee replacement and the holidays were busy, so we're ramping back up. We're going to have our meeting for 2024 coming up in a couple of weeks, so we'll be sure to reach out with any needs that we are aware of.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
By anyone, Kristin, thank you for coming. We really appreciate
you.
you taking the time, and it is so good to be able to see you on Zoom. We would have loved to see you in person and share a cup of tea and some great little goodies, but we all have to go get our nuts and crackers at home. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank
You
you.
also.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone.
That was great.
Yeah,
That was really terrific.
wonderful. Very
Terrific.
informative.
Yeah.
Really great.
Does anybody have anything to add right now? Because we have nothing to add to the meeting. But I don't want to cut anybody off. Do you have anything you want to add?
Jerry, thank you for setting those up.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. It was my pleasure. I mean, it's the best job on the committee, I think. just getting in touch with people.
Been doing a good job with tours and new and old and the mix of both. So thank you very much. And anybody else have any other new business or any kind of business to bring forward?
We did have a tour. One tour Jerry set up was with the Gloucester Ed Foundation, and a couple of us went to O'Malley School one afternoon to learn about their after school program. And I went up there. I hadn't been there since my kids were there, which was many years ago now, but they have a wonderful after school program, which is, for an important age group that are sort of becoming independent, but you don't necessarily want them home alone for a long time after school in that age group. So, that was, I found very informative, and they have a great band. They had sewing machines out. Which I was, thinking, I'm always a little hesitant with sewing machine, and it takes control of me, but the kids were making learning to sew to make the costumes for the plays that they were putting on. So I thought it was, an incredible connection. And they had a room full of 3D printers. They had a hydroponic garden, hydroponic plants and systems and things, that were set up there. So there, and there are a lot of different choices. Some are sports choices, and some, there's a big variety. But so that was, something that I don't know if someone will speak about that, but it's, it certainly was I thought a worthwhile thing to go and see what they're doing in the after school.
And
program
Gigs,
for
was
the
that
middle
when we've donated through that and we had the tour set up, was that from the Gloucester Education Foundation?
The tour, Jerry set up a tour connected with
but
us.
was it,
Yeah.
It was through, so that when we're thinking about that, when we're doing our voting or, our priorities, that what you're talking about is through the Gloucester Education Foundation, which is one of the groups that we've had on the list.
Right. And this happened to be a specific program, the after school program at the middle school that, that I went to see. But, we've certainly given to them for other, for just general funds other years to Gloucester Education Foundation. But I thought it was interesting,
Yes,
to see.
it's good for everybody to know those kinds of things and to have the tour to see actually when we support a group, what they're doing. So that's very nice.
Yep. Yep.
Anybody have any other business to bring forward?
I just want to thank everybody for getting on, and I see some people who were having trouble before were able to get in. Hooray, hooray. Good job, ladies.
Great, thank you. And so may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
And all in favor, raise your hand and wave. Goodbye.